Made. We have some guests here. If you guys would take a moment and introduce yourself, tell us who you are and why you're here. Go ahead and start us off.
My name's David Atkin. I'm the database manager.
I'm Frank Atwood. I'm your liaison to Center-Right Coalition that met this morning. And one of the topics was the Secretary of State discussing how primaries would be run. And I put them on notice that there would be a Libertarian primary ballot. Whether that's true or not, felt good to spook them with. And so here's the handout materials that were distributed. I'm talking to both Greens and listening to Republicans, and no one seems to be happy. The Republicans are going through a identity crisis of, are they a crony party or are they a Liberty Party? And the Greens are going through the crisis of, are they have ambitions of being pragmatic versus social justice warriors? So if the Libertarians can avoid an identity crisis, midlife crisis, we'll come out smelling sweet. Good luck.
Mr. Chairman, I move the Dallas Accord.
Yes. Second.
So,
Well, thank you, Ben, but that's out of order, of course.
Blake was with me at the CRC and may have additional comments to add.
I'm Blake Huber. I have no additional comments. I'm here representing approval voting. I will comment that in the near future, you may see an approval voting party organized, and we may be running statewide candidates in the next general election.
All right.
My name is Leo Buhager, and I agree with Mr. Atkin.
Hang on, he's taking notes here. Say your name again.
Leo Buhager.
B-O-O-H-A-K-E-R.
Thank
you.
And Mr. Atkins.
I'm Atwood. This is
Yeah, I agree. The identity crisis, and that's probably the reason I'm here, is that the Boulder County Republican Party is a disaster. There's no leadership. They don't understand that when you lose 70 to 30% in Boulder County, Democrat versus Republican, that you're in really bad shape. And no one is taking a stand, no one is taking initiative. And I think the reason is because the marketing focus of Boulder and Boulder County is to promote the city and the benefits of the city, and that comes first before any political party. And so there's nothing wrong with that philosophy, but what they do is they use that to raise taxes and to grow big municipal government. And what happens is that the party lines are really not party lines anymore. We got to put Boulder and Boulder County first, regardless of the consequences, regardless of whether we continue to raise sales taxes and property taxes. That's irrelevant. Your party is irrelevant. What's relevant is that we promote the town of Boulder. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think that's a good long-term approach to have people not have different political viewpoints in favor of a municipal viewpoint. I don't have a municipal viewpoint. My viewpoint is more of a party line viewpoint. So I'm hoping that the Libertarians will pick up the slack that the Republicans, especially in Boulder and other counties, have left. And I think that there's a really, really untapped potential in Boulder and other counties in the state.
Are you involved with the affiliate up in Boulder?
Is the Boulder Libertarians?
I'm not.
You're not?
I don't get into the town of Boulder very often. I live in long lines. So North Boulder is pretty hard to get to. So it's actually more preferable.
Yeah.
Okay. If you guys have some statewide policies that can be applied to Boulder, then I can help you guys do that. starting at the grassroots level of Boulder without support, it's really, really difficult. There has to be really a plan and actions.
Well, I would encourage you to get involved with the Boulder County affiliate up there as the first step.
Right.
They're very active and they have some good people up there, so I would encourage you to get involved with them.
They also make weekly, I can get you their information, does after this.
Yeah, I travel a lot, so I'm actually not in Boulder very often, so that's another reason.
Okay, thank you. Okay, how about you?
I'm just here to listen.
And your name?
I'm sorry, my name is Terry Murtha from Centennial. I serious disenfranchised Republican and starting to lean Libertarian. Some evolving views, and I just wanted to come down and hear what you're up to here. I am a little curious, is this more of a Cato Institute type of a Libertarian or more Mises, or is there any kind of
Mises.
Well, we all vary. Terry, this is actually a business meeting tonight, so you'll see a little bit of our philosophies tonight, but this is mostly business meeting. This is what our monthly meetings are. You say you live in Arapahoe County?
Yeah.
They've got a fantastic affiliate in Arapahoe County, and Bennett actually is one of the officers for the Arapahoe County affiliate.
Okay, see, I didn't know what this was exactly. I just saw this on the sign, just said,
Okay,
well,
cool.
I got some time to kill, let me go see.
Well,
Look for the happy hour on the meetup. There's a, yeah, that's a good way to, what's it?
Meetup, you mean like meetup.com?
Yeah, yeah.
There's a group
what's
called
it called?
Colorado Libertarians on there.
Yeah, but what's the event called?
Arapahoe Happy
Arapahoe?
Happy
It's a
Hour.
Rapa happy hour.
After this meeting, Bennett and I will be happy to speak to you more about it.
Okay,
He's our treasurer and I'm the outreach director for Arapahoe County.
gotcha. Okay.
It's more Mises minus Jeff Dice blood and soil.
Thank you, Chairman Harlos. My name is Bennett Rutledge, and I am running for City Council in the 2nd District of Centennial. I am ready to work for the people. In fact, I'm ready to start immediately. If anyone is interested in learning to be a campaign treasurer, learning to be a campaign manager, learning to be just an ordinary campaign volunteer, and here's my ace in the hole. I'm willing to get you started towards being a candidate yourself in the city council race, if that is what you feel you are up to.
When's the election?
It's coming up November 7th, but the important date right now is August 28th, when you have to have gathered 50 valid signatures, and I'm figuring you'd better have a minimum of 75 to give yourself a decent margin.
Thank you, Bennett. Bruce?
I'm Bruce Griffith. I am a Libertarian candidate for Frederick trustee.
Okay, we have one more down at the end out there.
Andrew Collier. Good to see everyone. Sorry I'm late. I'm the treasurer of the Denver Development Group.
All right.
And local financial advisor. Got my own business, and just want to come by again. I came last month. It's pretty interesting, so I thought I'd stop by again.
Welcome.
Good to see y'all. Thanks.
All right, did we skip anybody? I don't think we did. All right, has everybody looked over the minutes?
Yeah.
Or not the minutes, I'm sorry, the
We
agenda.
did agenda.
Wait, hold on, I'm getting
We
back
did
here.
agenda already.
We're backwards.
I want to
We're
make sure
minutes.
nobody added anything sneaky wise.
Oh. Says the person who has the most entries.
Yes, I say, make sure nobody bumped any of my entries here. Hold on. So what are we on?
Minutes.
We did
We're on
agenda
minutes.
already.
No, we did.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, we
Yeah, we
did.
did, I did it backwards.
When did you do the?
When you weren't
Before we
listening.
started introducing guests.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we can always add stuff.
Okay, we can add stuff. All right, we'll go to officers' reports.
So we approved the minutes?
No objections?
No objections, and we have 2 sets, because we have
Oh, that's
August
right.
and July,
Has everybody gone back to June, July?
June and July. Yeah, August is.
I didn't go back to June. Has
My
everybody?
crystal ball.
I'd say that was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, tell me what we voted.
Yeah, we can all go home, it's done.
Anybody have any objections to June's minutes? Okay. Officer reports. The only thing I have to add to my report is spent the morning yesterday with the Douglas County group. We had a road cleanup and we had quite good success. We had 10 volunteers. Didn't have a single person volunteer through the email or through the Facebook page. So I got on the phone and called, and we ended up with 10 people at the road cleanup. It turned out to be a real good thing. That might be something for us to consider to do as a state party. We actually have a sign that was put up for us by CDOT. It says road cleaned up, maintained by the Douglas County Libertarians.
Nice.
And that sign's already been up 6 months. We did our first cleanup. They haven't held us accountable to anything. So,
Government.
yeah. But we have an obligation to clean that road 4 times a year.
Now, Arapahoe did that for a couple of years. Are they still doing it?
We don't know yet, that didn't come up on our last.
The sign's still up, okay. So no need to worry about it.
There's still appropriation to remove the sign. We're taking a laissez-faire approach.
Okay, Vice.
My report's pretty all-inclusive. The only other things that I would have to add is that I've been trying to keep my ear to the ground and look for candidates as well. Sent some information to Kim about a couple days ago, I don't know how many exactly, for Todd Mitchum. He's interested in running in CD2. He right now has a proposed budget of donors lined up that is 20 times what I ran for the entire campaign last year, as well as a lot of fire. He comes from the marijuana industry, was left-leaning, small L libertarian, still considering coming over to full L, big L libertarian. He understands the rules, but it looks like we might have a pretty darn solid CD2 candidate. And I feel very passionately about that race as one of them that is probably the most winnable in our state, to be honest. So.
Good.
I have a question for Richard.
Yeah.
So Mike Kraus here at the Independence Institute is doing the training for people to start off in local offices so they can learn some stuff. And he gave me some information, and I guess I can pass this over to you, where here's a packet about it and some brochures.
Awesome.
Are you the appropriate person to get that?
Technically, I guess Kim would be as campaigns director.
Oh, yeah.
But I'd be very interested in seeing it too. So, I mean, if we both wanted, I could take it and email it out.
Having actually taken that course a few months ago, I can say it is very, very well worth it. If you're considering running for city council or any kind of school board or anything like that, well worth taking. It's a morning that is very educational.
Is that offered several more times, Mike?
I don't know.
It's August 29th.
Yeah, I saw it out there. If you want to pass that over, I'll be happy to look at it. But the reason why I bring that up mainly is to remind all of us that one of the agendas that we set forth was to try to have a full slate of candidates at the 2018 convention. So we actively need to be recruiting and finding those candidates now, already for next November. This November certainly should be on our agenda as well, but next November, we're starting to get to that point where we've got to start planning ahead, especially with those bigger races, the CD races in particular. So just keep that in mind, and yeah.
Richard, will you scan that, what you sent to everybody, please?
Yeah, I'll have to scan it from work, so I will do that Wednesday.
It's also on the Facebook page and group.
Oh, should we add that to Meetup?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know the information.
Okay, anything else, Richard?
Nope.
Okay. Treasurer?
Nothing to add.
Anybody have any questions on status? Okay. Fundraising.
Nothing to add in my report.
Okay, I have a couple questions for you.
All right.
When are those letters going to go out?
I'm looking to put out as many as I can this month. My plan is to hit up probably Boulder County, Arapahoe County, and Jefferson County. I understand that Bill told me some of the highest donors in the Libertarian Party live in Jefferson County, so I'll hit him up to see if he's telling me the truth.
Okay, why not all the counties all at once?
It's a lot of work.
It's a good question. I'm kind of trying to eat the elephant one bite at a time.
And we need to get these out as quickly as we can. We haven't had any money coming in hardly at all to the state party this entire year, so we need to get those letters out.
I have a question.
Yes.
What bumper stickers were they?
I just got the gray Libertarian bumper stickers. I got them off LP Action, the ones that are like 10 cents each.
That's a good price.
Oh, yeah.
The boring ones that everybody gets.
Yeah.
Okay.
I couldn't decide between that or don't blame me. I voted Libertarian.
We also have the one that's on the back of your laptop that we designed. The support,
that free
the
country.
support libertarians, you can win a free country.
That's a popular one too.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Some disassembly required.
Yeah, some
Disassembly.
disassembly. Alternate version Puerto Rico sold separately.
Okay, any questions for fundraising?
Are you taking donations now?
Yes, we are.
We are ready to check my donation right now.
All right,
I'm
perfect.
gonna make it out too.
Libertarian Party of Colorado.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, I gotta remind everybody, please bring your questions to the chair. Campaigns.
Just a couple of updates. As we were talking about last week, I called a lot of people. I actually managed to find somebody who is interested in running in Weld County. So that was very interesting, being that I was calling Summit and Route counties. And I may have someone interested in running in House District 26, and I may have a candidate for state treasurer.
Oh, that's right.
All right. Very good.
So just keeping in touch with everybody. And as a reminder to anybody who's listening, if you are running a campaign, you have any questions, please give me a call. I will sit on the phone and talk you through anything. Ask Daniel.
She will. She has spent hours with me getting me set up on my campaign.
It was easy. It was easy. No, it's not hours. It just takes a few minutes.
I'm going to break the rules here and give you an opportunity. We try to keep this just to the board members once we get started here, but you had something to
I'm
ask?
sorry, I was just gonna say that as she knows that Weld County is 80% Republican, Democrat. That's how they vote. So that's what you're running up against in Weld County.
Okay.
Thank you.
Outreach?
Outreach. We had an interesting weekend. We probably had our first event that was not affected by weather because it happened to be indoors for 3 days down in Douglas County at the county fair. And then we went Saturday up to the Carbon Valley Music and Spirits Festival and had a very good time listening to great music and drinking some great spirits. And then we got stuck in a downpour, which wasn't bad enough, but about 5 minutes into the downpour, the sprinkler systems on both sides of our booth sprayed directly in from the sides. So we were soaking wet by the time we got home, and we still don't have everything dry and put up yet in the garage. As it stands right now, we don't have any firm commitments to future events. There's a couple of things that are interesting. I don't know if you've had any more success with Broomfield County.
We have discussed that we were going to
Just
leave it
gonna
this
skip.
year and do it next year,
So
so that we weren't pulled in, find different directions.
if anybody has a list of things that we should investigate, I'm very interested in checking that out. And
There is a list of all previous ones that we've done.
is there a concise list somewhere? I went through all of the reports for the last year and a half.
I'll see what.
There is a list of county fairs on the website,
Which website?
ours.
On ours.
Yeah, it's under
Maybe that's
activist
the list.
stuff.
But my commitment is, if it's going to be a county event somewhere, if the county party group, affiliate, development group, whatever wants to be involved and wants to supply enough bodies to have somebody there every hour that the event takes place, we'll support them and we'll be there. So I don't want to just go through a list and throw it out there. I want people to come to me and say, hey, we want to do this, and we'll do whatever we can to help them. So
That might be a worthwhile thing to throw out on an email or Facebook
Well,
post.
you have a spot. on the Facebook. You can,
I've put that out a
Yeah.
couple of times and I haven't gotten any responses. I think,
sometimes you'll get lucky.
I think El Paso does the state fair, don't they, do they not?
So what I would also suggest is there are some counties, there are a lot of counties actually, 140 that don't have a county contact right now. I understand wanting to get the local county involved if there's a contact and that sort of thing, but we may want to look at counties such as Gilpin County where there is no entrance fee to have a booth and there is no county contact as a way to spring something up there as well. Granted, that's going to be next year, I think May, I want to say, but I can take a look at that.
But
county
in
fair
general,
list.
I need,
In general, yeah,
I just need one body that
Exactly.
says,
Yeah.
we'll have somebody there.
Sure.
So I'm not the only one.
Yeah, I'll see if I can look at some of the county fair stuff as well as voter registrations and see if there is a strategical target that I think might be a good place to have a county fair that maybe the state does, where we don't have a county contact. I don't want to commit to that. I just want to throw that out there as an option for trying to jumpstart some of these county groups.
I haven't turned anybody down yet.
Okay.
Before, Michael, 1 second here. Guys, speak up. I know that Clayton's recording here, and I've got multiple people tell me that they can't hear the people at the other end of the room, so please speak up. Mike, you had something?
So in Jefferson County, they have Summerfest in September. Do I need to contact Bill and then he contacts you, or how does that work?
Sure. Perfect.
I'll send him an email, please.
I noticed in your report you mentioned T-shirts. We had brought this up like a couple months ago. I was going to let you know that really the very good price vendor we had straightened their problems out, and they have. It turned out there's 2 partners, and the man had cancer, and he's put me in touch with the lady who's also a partner with him, and she's been getting Radical Caucus stuff to us like that. So if we're ready to do any more shirts again, they're about $6 each, 2-color,
sweet.
2-sided.
Yeah.
On black. It's probably cheaper on white.
Getting pretty low.
Yeah, so just get with me and I have the contact with them, but they're back reliable again.
And if you got kind of some rough idea of percentages by size that we would normally get, and an interesting thing, we hang them up in the booth.
Yeah.
And we have the state sucks. And this woman up there in Dakota comes up and says, I take exception to that. I've lived in Colorado all my life and I love it here.
I knew that was going to go.
I said, no. It's not this state sucks. It's the state. The state. Okay, never mind.
Danny, go ahead.
Karen Ann, can they do custom one-offs?
I don't know. She probably could, but they don't make any profit. They do libertarian work as kind of a favor.
Yeah.
So that's something I'd be kind of reluctant to ask, just because they already really are doing things at a loss, just because that's their service to the libertarian community, is to do shirts. They make no money off of these.
I've been toying with the notion of getting one of those DNA analysis things and then doing a T-shirt with a pie chart of the results.
Okay, guys, let's stay focused here.
Oh, sorry.
Kim, you had something?
I was just going to say, if you're wanting campaign shirts for one-off type things, get with me. I have a contact who will do that for you.
Thank you, Kim.
As far as resources, if it's free, if it's $30 or whatever, it was $30 for this Dakota event, and 2 people ponied up the money for it, and within the first hour, we moved 2 T-shirts and had $40, $39.98 to be exact. So, but we also had support. Matthew DG was there the entire time, or most of the time, and Bill Griffith was there campaigning in our booth, and it was a great event. So, it's just 2 types of resources. Money's not the biggest problem.
Well, to add on to the end of your Kevin, the Douglas County event was great. You guys did a great job setting up the booth. Looked really good, and we had fantastic staffing the whole week, the whole 3 days.
Looked a little scary on Thursday night with going in, didn't it?
Friday night?
Yeah, no, you had a lot of holes in the schedule.
Yeah.
You filled them all up, though, didn't you?
You did. Good job.
All right, good. Anything else, Kevin?
That's it.
Okay, Regis?
The only thing I was going to change on my report is I had on there that I would be going to the Denver County meeting this month, and I will not actually be able to attend that. I didn't realize when I scheduled that that was also my son's first birthday. So glad my wife does not watch this feed.
No, send note to his wife.
Other than that, we've seen a lot of the counties that we're growing have continued to grow. Denver's continued to grow. Arapahoe's has made a very sharp turn back towards growth. And those are some of the areas I'm going to try and get out to. And then, of course, Mark out there on the western slope has been doing really well in Mason County. He's got their meetings going on a pretty regular basis, and he seems to be, especially for that area, doing about as well as Victoria was doing with Denver, which Denver could be the next county to affiliate the way they've been going. It's one of the reasons they wanted me to come down was to talk to him about that. So I do apologize for delaying that by 1 month, but they will be gotten to in September, I guarantee. And that's all I have for mine.
Okay. Mike's not here, nor is Steve. Karen Ann?
Okay, some things I'm pulling it up. Reminding all the board members to use their Facebook slots and keep going with that. Facebook's almost at 25,000 likes, which is a good milestone for us. Hopefully by next month we'll have that. So Jay Stooksbury just had another article published, which is fantastic. I was just on Colorado Public Radio, and on Friday I was interviewed by Marie Claire Magazine. Now that's a big distribution there. That was a contact from LP National. They wanted to speak with several libertarians, and I was one of the ones that they put on the list to contact. Let me see what else I have here. I think that, national memberships were ahead of Washington by 1. We got it. See, Michael's watching. We got to kick that up though. Other news: I resigned as state coordinator for the Radical Caucus because of a potential conflict of interest of an issue coming up on the LNC. I think Sarah Ellsworth or Joshua Robertson is going to be taking my place. They're going to decide that next meeting. I'm still involved. I just can't be on their board anymore. And even though this might fit in with the LNC part, I actually have something I want to relate to you guys because hopefully you'll think it's as awesome as I do. With the historical committee, the other day I had just happened to look on eBay, and I never look on eBay for Libertarian Party stuff. I just went there, and for sale on eBay was the original typewritten preamble that was presented at the 1972 conference. But it was the statement of principles, was called the preamble then, with John Hosper's handwritten notes on it and a coffee stain. And I was just about to absolutely die, and it got sold. And it turned out it was one of my friends that bought it for $410 and is donating it back to the party to be displayed at their home office. But we wanted to know where this document has been all these years. And I couldn't have made up a story that was better. We got in touch with the seller, and she said her mother, Shirley Gottlieb, ran the Libertarian Party out of her home in California in the 1970s when we first started. And both her parents recently passed away. She was packing up their house and found on the wall really crappy black and white photocopy of a picture of Ayn Rand, and was like, why did my parents photocopy this? It's not even a photograph, it's a crappy photocopy. And she took apart the frame and found that original 1972 statement of principles behind the photocopy picture of Ayn Rand.
There's a hiding place.
Isn't that, it's just, what a story. But it's in a safety deposit box, and we're gonna be getting that preserved and hung on the wall at headquarters.
Nice.
Okay, anything else?
No, unless anyone had any questions.
So I read Jay's article. It was really good. You couldn't put any comments. I shared it on Facebook. Is there anything else that we can do to promote when he puts out articles like that so that it gets more?
Well, I do. I put it on your personal page if you have.
I did that.
Yeah, but I also send it to National because they feature things that are written by members in either Liberty Pledge, sometimes in LP News, or on the website. I always send that stuff in too.
But as individuals, the best we can do is just share it on our Facebook?
Yes.
Okay.
And I also suggested to Steve Gallant we start including some of those in the newsletter, so I put those two together with that.
Are there links to your interviews?
With
anywhere?
Colorado Public Radio.
And
I
the
think
Marie Claire?
that one's not out yet, so
Okay.
I don't know what they'll use. But I can shoot around to the board, the Colorado Public Radio.
Yeah, definitely.
One question. If you get published, can I have your
Anything else? All right, records?
I have nothing to add to my report.
What?
You again?
Oh, I didn't submit one this month only because it's coming up on the LNC meeting and I'm really busy and the agenda just came out. There's not anything terribly interesting on the agenda, though I would like to know if anyone here had any comments on some of the things that are on the agenda, which include the social media review committee. And I think Arvin is going to be proposing a resolution to call for the closing of all overseas bases. And there's an issue with usage of the Libertarian Party name and the chicken on a stick by caucuses and the like, and whether we're actually going to sue activists for using our logo. But there's also now a neo-Nazi site is using it, so you take the good with the bad. And that's, yes, I wish I were kidding. So I don't know if anyone had any concerns or anything they want brought to the LNC meeting at all. I think that's the majority of the things that are on the topic.
Don't go after the activists.
Yeah, I mean.
And that, by the way, that's
it. You know, that's the thing that I think that this entire board would agree to is don't go after the activists. If it's a neo-Nazi sort of website and they want to go after that, then that's fine. But I think going after groups for using the logo, I mean, we have groups right now that have a logo that are development groups that technically aren't affiliated with anybody.
Right.
So what are they going to do next? Go after Yuma County? I mean,
or candidates that haven't received the nomination
exactly.
yet. But here's
I'm uncomfortable with the whole premise of it personally. And I'd imagine most of this board probably feels the same way, knowing most of this, but I could be wrong.
Well, here's the problem, the state law, because the state is so wonderful, usually requires you to prosecute fully any trademark violation, so they can't necessarily pick and choose. And this is why I resigned from the Radical Caucus board, because we call ourselves the Libertarian Party Radical Caucus, and we could be a target, and I didn't want to be on boards with conflicting votes. But I don't think we should be using the strong arm of the state to prosecute intellectual property, which half of libertarians don't agree with. You're going to have Nazis using it. You can't stop it. The minute you tell them to stop, it's going to be all over the place like Pepe. It's the Sinatra, I mean, the Streisand effect. Just leave it alone.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that is certainly what I personally would prefer that we do. So to my rep, if you could voice that opinion, I would very much appreciate it.
Or we can use it against the Nazis who steal the logo. It's like, this guy's for open borders. He's not a Nazi, he's just faking.
Sure, we could go.
No, I'm a real Nazi, damn it. Ah, gotcha.
But, well, that's the disadvantage to moving away from the Statue of Liberty, which was more why it was associated with us, but also with so many other things.
Right.
And it wouldn't so immediately associate with us, but that chicken, I mean, everyone sees that, knows it's us.
I kind of miss the porcupine.
I do too.
It's still an unofficial official symbol.
Okay, anything else? Nothing else, Richard?
No.
Or Richard? Michael? No. All right. Technology, you have anything for us, Clayton?
I think I mentioned a couple months ago that I was trying to upgrade our video quality. Still working on that. Nikon products are back-ordered. They've been back-ordered for months. So I got one piece that I needed. Still waiting on the other piece. So
yeah. Clayton, I have we'll talk about this later, but I have a digital SLR. This week, no, it's a Nikon as well. Never mind, we have the same problem with my camera, sure.
right, I have all those. I'm waiting on one piece, and that piece has been back for who knows how long.
So we're gonna have the same problem with mine as with yours. Okay, David, what do you have for us?
Nothing more to add from the report I sent around to the board on Sunday.
Okay, no questions for David? Frank?
Would this be appropriate time to discuss primaries and libertarians?
Not quite yet. Let's put it at the end of our business.
Certainly. Thank you, sir.
Okay, old business. Committee appointments. Karen Ann.
Hold on. I know. Where's the agenda? I'm sorry, I'm like, I have old lady eyes now. Right here, 1 second. So I sent out for the applications for the platform, the state platform committee and the state constitution and bylaws committee. And we've been getting in applications. I'll resend those periodically. But we're scheduled to appoint those next month. The affiliates have until the October meeting to name their representatives. Who has named so far El Paso and Arapahoe? Yes, have named.
El Paso was set by.
Just my Arapahoe, did you guys? Oh, yes, it was Kevin and Mike Seabath from El Paso. So then the committees will be completely constituted. I have not yet sent out, because if you send too many emails, people ignore them, but I'm probably going to do it tonight or tomorrow, is the convention committee applications. The reason I did the platform and bylaws first is we have certain bylaws requirements to send those out by a certain time. And then after that, a couple weeks, I'll be sending out for applications for the national platform committee. That one's not a hurry at all, so that's getting off to last. But with committees, we need to formally appoint the style committee. So Richard and I are automatically on it as the past chairs of platform and constitution and bylaws. Jay Stooksbury agreed to be appointed, and Michael Seabeck agreed to be appointed, and we need one more person if anyone had recommendations of someone who's a good writer and good with grammar. This isn't about substance, it's just about.
Steve Gallant is a writer, professional.
Would he want to, though, is another.
Can speak.
Is there any members that anyone think might, try to involve members in?
I recommend reaching out to Jay Campbell, seeing if he's
Oh,
interested
okay,
in something like that. I haven't proofread a lot of my things when I post them.
Oh, no, that would be perfect.
So.
Okay, no, I'll get in touch with Jay. And was that it for our committees? I think it is.
Okay. Mailing new libertarians, that would also be Karen Ann.
Well, we discussed that during the fundraising report.
Yes, go ahead.
On that last point, I just wanted to recommend Grammarly if it's just for grammar purposes and not substance or anything. It's a really great website. I check emails on it and stuff. It basically is the best English teacher I've ever had. So if you can't find anyone to do that, just an idea. Thanks.
All right. Policy Manual Committee. Karen Ann.
Well, actually, I put that on for Eric to speak to.
We've got our next follow-up meeting coming up this Wednesday, I want to say on the 16th. We're going to be finishing up off the previous business we were going over. I want to say the minutes are available in the Policy Manual Committee folder that everyone on the board should have access to. There needs to be a more public venue for those to be published. Just let me know and I'll find a better spot to put them on.
Committee minutes don't have to be public.
Other than that, everything's pretty much going as well as can be on the committee.
And check on time.
I think we're pretty much keeping to the schedule we've agreed to so far.
It's going to be a year-long project.
Wait, okay.
LNC.
Oh,
wait.
Oh, I'm sorry, Richard. I didn't
Yeah.
see.
So that everybody's aware, and just so that it's on the record, what we're doing is we're basically meeting every 2 weeks to go over policies, and we're kind of using the LNC policy manual as a guide. That said, it is not all encompassing for things in Colorado. So while we may not get to it right away, if you have an idea for a policy, look in the LNC manual, see if there's kind of an equivalent policy that might logically fall under. If it is, we will get to it. If there's not, please email every member of the committee. That way it's on our agenda. We don't forget about it. Yeah, so that, I just wanted to throw that out there. It may be down the road, but it is a tedious process. We discovered last week, or not last week, 2 weeks ago, that we took a big bite out of what we wanted to do every 2 weeks, and it's probably a little bit too big. So while we are on track, it's just one of those things. This is going to be a long process. So please send those ideas, follow up on those ideas if you have them. That way we can make sure to include them at the end if it's not already an LNC bullet point. And I just say that just because that's the model we're using to go through right now. So.
And as chair, I just want to add, I couldn't ask for a better committee.
Okay. LNC data dump follow-ups.
Don't look, okay. Steve's not here, and wasn't, I just put this on here to have it on here. It's not like anything I had anything to say about, except for, are we doing the follow-up? Are we doing the phone calls for lapsed members? Are we following up on this so that Washington doesn't get ahead of us? And that we have another platform committee appointment the next time convention comes around. We need to keep those numbers up. Plus, these are great leads. They've already given money. They've already given money to the national party. They're great leads for us here at the state level. But I don't think we're doing anything with this data dump, and it really concerns me.
Is that something that Steve, Eric, were you going to help Steve with that?
I don't remember if I was, but I can if he wants me to.
I think that would be in your wheelhouse.
I feel like in June when we discussed this, and I know this is 2 months ago, we did say that as a relation to the mailings and that sort of thing, that it fell under membership and fundraising to try to reach out. So yeah, I would say that you should be helping Steve.
Eric, would you follow up on that right away, please?
Yeah, I don't send him an email right now.
I'm looking in the minutes for June, and
I thought everyone could see it.
yeah, I don't see your specific data sharing. No.
We did discuss it recently.
I know we did, and I wasn't at the July meeting. I had a proxy, so it had been June. I just don't know where exactly.
Newsletter.
Okay.
And when I got the data dump, I forwarded it to Steve, so my notes must have said primarily Steve.
Okay, anything else on that? All right, guys, I'll take this next one. Joe Johnson was supposed to be here tonight. He had a last-minute change in his business schedule, and he is in Miami right now, so he wasn't able to join us. But I have him on the calendar for next month, assuming that he doesn't get called out of town again. And if you guys all remember, Joe Johnson is the fellow that's going to help us with getting a full slate. And he's very excited to be involved. So Mike has a real good relationship with Joe, and he's a powerhouse.
Would Joe be available to possibly do a brief presentation via some sort of teleconference, something like that? I mean, the board's been waiting on that presentation now almost since convention, and we kind of we're waiting on that presentation to form a resolution to see if we wanted to do it. And it seems we keep pushing it back month to month. Yeah,
I share your concern. I'll reach out to him and I'll see if he has any way to maybe get on a Skype or what other
Go to
system.
meeting or Zoom.
Okay. Give me a list of all the different things that we can use, and I'll reach out to him. I'll see if maybe we can speed this up a little bit, because I know the importance of this, not only the content, but the timing of it is also real important.
Exactly.
So I'm afraid, and Karen, actually, we were talking about that on the drive down here tonight. If for any reason he's delayed next month, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
I mean, we lost our time advantage. So
that's exactly why I think now's the time to possibly see if we can look at alternate means.
I'll pursue that. Okay. Next is style committee at large appointments.
We already
covered that. That would be Karen Anigan.
Yeah, we already covered that, but actually I do think I missed something with that. I do think we need to formally appoint Jay and Mike Seaback, who have agreed to serve, and then we still have the open slot to formally, I'm going to ask Jake, but I actually move that the board appoint Jay Stooksbury and Michael Seaback to the 2 of the 3 at-large appointments for the style committee.
Second. Mike Seaback first.
Well, I did it as one, unless someone wants
Let's
to.
do it as a block.
We can do it.
If we can.
What's that?
If we can do it as a block, as
Yeah.
long as
All
there's
right.
no opposition.
Does anybody have any objection to Mike Seaback and
Jay
Jay
Stooksbury.
Stooksbury?
How do you spell Stooksbury?
STOOKSBERRY.
KES.
Got all that?
No, it's Stook, I think. Stooks. It's not ES, it's just S. Stooksbury.
Okay.
One word.
Delicious.
Nope, Karen Ann's right. No E.
Okay, we have no objections. That passes unanimously then. For Mike Seebeck and Jay Stooksbury, and we say we still need one more.
Yes, I'll be asking Jake Campbell.
Okay. New business. Setting convention dates. I think we're about to that point. Karen Ann?
I just put it on here, we need to set convention dates. Pursuant to the bylaws, we're coming up on.
Now's the time. Well, there's another reason why we have to do that is because once we set the convention dates, then we need to communicate with the State Chairs Association, whatever it is.
LSLA.
Because they're going to participate with us on our convention. And I need to get that information to them so they can start getting their ducks in a row.
Do they have any preference?
They have no preference.
We don't care so much.
Richard?
So I'm prepared to make a motion if there's not any discussion, but typically we would do it the last weekend of March, which would be the 24th and 25th. So I'm going to go ahead and move that we set convention as the weekend of the 23rd, 24th, and 25th, and then we can discuss and vote on it from there if we want to alter that.
Seconded. 23rd through the 25th, you said, Richard?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, any discussion on that?
Yes.
Karen?
Several things. We have to do it within a certain amount of days of primary. I don't know if we even know what date the primary is set yet, so I don't know if we can even set this yet. 2, we're assuming a 3-day convention. Maybe that's what the board wants to do. I've opposed it every year. I don't think we need to be putting on a Las Vegas show for our conventions and spend $13,000. So that's another thing as well.
Okay, well, we'll call it we may have to table this until next month, Richard, until we see when the primaries are going to be. Do you know when that information is going to be released? Actually, Michael would know, but he's not here.
Does it matter that much, isn't it? In June, that's plenty of time. I mean, I don't think our timing's that tight.
I don't know.
In the event business, you want to book your venue as early as possible. So
It's cheaper to book it on
a holiday weekend.
Well, the 17th is St. Patrick's Day, and you don't want to be doing it then.
No.
Why not?
Well, we can set this via email, can't we? We can ask Michael to figure out when the primary dates are, and then.
I think that's the type of business that we can handle by email. If anybody's not comfortable with that, go ahead and raise your concerns now.
Can't we just look up the primary dates right now?
I didn't know if they were set yet.
They ought to be
weren't
set
when I
now.
looked them up.
They may not be. If I could, as far as the 3-day
June
thing, I'm
26th.
kind of with Karen Ann on this one. I don't like the idea of 3 days for a convention, but if we're going to go to convention committee and say, hey, we would like it 2 days, unless you come up with a really solid plan for 3 days, something like that. I just want to block the weekend as that event. That's what my aim was, not to say we have to have something each day. So.
All right, I have an idea here, guys. Why don't we consider setting this tentatively, and if we have to change it only because of the
primary dates,
then we can always amend that. But let's go ahead and vote on that weekend for now.
Okay. But the primary date's June 26th.
You looked it up?
Yeah.
Okay, so if it's a 26, what's the time commitment there?
I'm not keeper of the calendar.
I have no idea, but I am keeper.
Michael, let's do this. Let's go ahead and take a vote on the March 23rd through 25th, whether we include Friday in that weekend or not.
24th through 26th.
And then if, after you determine the time frame, just reach out to everybody, and if we have to amend this, we will. So let's go ahead and take a vote on the weekend of the 23rd through the 25th.
I have another piece of information
Okay.
for everyone to consider. National convention, we'll be electing delegates this convention. National convention is late this year. It's July. So do we want to be closer to national? Just saying, March is months before.
If we can always push it to the 30th, through to the 1st.
Say that again, Kim.
So we have, also we have the 30th of March, 30th, 31st, and the 1st of April. which is another weekend later.
What would be the advantage of that?
If we're trying to move it a little bit closer, then at least convention closes in April rather than.
But why move it closer? There's no advantage. I don't think it matters.
Yeah, so from my point of view, I mean, that's still only 6 weeks. That's not a terribly large amount of time as far as a bigger amount of time. So I know typically national convention would be, what, mid-June? Does that sound right?
No, it's the end of May
End of May,
last
that's
time,
right.
and it's July 4th
Oh, okay.
this time. It's
Oh,
significantly.
that's right.
First.
Don't we have a, something set on delegates where they have to have been a party member for, what was it, 90 days, I
Yes.
think? Now, is that before national convention? or
No,
is that
Before our
state
convention, before state convention.
Okay,
So that means that they have to become one before the end of the year.
pretty much, yeah.
They'll have to be a member.
By what, around Christmas, just
Before Christmas.
We don't want to elect delegates on April Fool's Day.
Good point.
Now she's alone.
Yeah, the papers will say Libertarian Convention. And they say, yeah, right.
We nominated Barton Supreme.
Yeah. You might get it
Okay,
anyway.
guys, then, do we have any objections to the weekend of the 23rd through the 25th?
No.
Objections, that passes. If we have to amend, we will, after you get back to me on that, Mike.
Okay.
Open emails.
Why is this so
Karen Ann.
Big surprise. I don't know if I'm gonna have a motion yet, but I wanted to broach it with you guys, at least for discussion, is I would like, this has been my goal for a while, I would like us to move to the same model that the LNC has, in which our emails between each other are open for transparent viewing by membership, just like the LNC emails are. If there was ever anything that needed to be confidential, we could have an alternate list to be under the same requirements as an executive session. But I would like to see us move towards a more open and transparent model. Step one of it was the streaming that I pushed for. But now, Jay, and the way it would work is that a Google Groups email address would be added to the board group, and every email we sent to the LPCO board group would post to the Google list. And any member could view the Google email list. They wouldn't be able to post to it. It'd be a read-only list that they can read the emails of what's going on with the board.
You said Jay had a way to.
Yeah, Jay could help us with this. But I wanted to know everyone's thoughts on moving towards this type of system.
Richard?
I would speak in favor of this type of system. The primary reason being that we are streaming all of our votes and all of our discussions and that sort of thing anyway. We do vote by email. That's in our standing rules right now, and I'm sure will be in the policy manual. And I don't want there to be any perception by our membership that we are disconnected from them in some way or feel like we can make decisions without their input. And this is a way to protect member rights and members' involvements in what we do. So I'm very much in support of this personally.
Other affiliates do it too, by the way. This isn't entirely novel.
Sometimes we discuss personnel, as in considering whether somebody's appropriate for a position or other issues that come up via email, and that's going to be in the public eye.
That would probably.
Are we defaming people?
Appropriate.
Yeah.
Well, this is what I would say to that. Every time we've ever discussed personnel, we've done it in front of this streaming camera. Every single discussion we have had is recorded and on YouTube.
And our
There's been some
emails?
on email too.
What? I don't think, but anyone that we've ever discussed by email, we ended up discussing in open meeting. But that would fall under the narrow exceptions for executive session. Executive session would be pending legal and personnel matters or trade secret type stuff. So
Real
if there,
estate purchases.
yeah, so if there was something, I do think we shouldn't be having necessarily talking about volunteers or the like in open. So we would have a separate confidential list for that, and it would be recorded in the next minutes that we had a confidential session. You note that it happened. It's exactly trying to follow the LNC model.
And that's the way public meetings are done in Colorado as well, in the government level. So go in executive session. Okay.
Make a motion.
I think we're ready for a motion.
Yeah.
Well, sure then. I would move that, how would I word this? So I move that the LPCO moves to a openly viewable email system with,
To be fully implemented by September's board meeting.
that's a little soon because I need to work with Jay by
By
October's board.
October's board meeting.
Yes, that's a great motion.
Do we need to mention the thing for executive position, executive session, or that's just assumed?
In Roberts, it's assumed, but we could add it onto the motion.
If it's part of Roberts, Roberts is part of our stuff, so
Yeah.
yeah, have to put it in.
I would leave it.
Yeah, because we can do that in these meetings now. At any time, we can move to executive session.
Is there any further discussion?
Just a clarification question. You were mentioning earlier that this was to be accessible to the members. Do you mean members of national registered libertarians in Colorado?
Anybody?
Any person.
Public.
It would end, there's realistically no way to limit it. The purpose of making it open is so that Colorado libertarians could read it. Realistically, anyone in the world could read it, just like anyone in the world could read the LNC business list. The
We'll
fact
watch-
is,
we'll
if
watch
a,
the video for them.
the fact is, if a infiltrator, or whatever we want to think, wants to see what we're saying, it isn't that difficult to just come into the meetings. Same thing with the LNC. Again, it's better to be out in the open. You're not keeping anything secret.
Okay, anything else? Do you have any objections? Oh, Clayton, go ahead.
And it is trivial to, I don't know the technology behind it. I haven't done that much research. It's trivial to make it private. Like most of the emails that I send out from my account shouldn't be public.
Anything that got sent to the LPCO board group would be reflected on the Google group. We would set up a separate one that would be like board confidential for anything that should be. If you emailed any individual board member, that would not show up. Just like if I email Nick Sarwark privately, it doesn't show up on the LNC list. Nothing is ever completely transparent, but this at least makes the group discussions transparent.
Okay. Any other discussion? Any object, John?
I was just gonna say that I like secrets. But, you know, when Karen clarified it, it's just to the board, then I'm buying, because I was gonna vote no. But
Yeah.
I feel better now.
Yeah, that main distinction, just make sure everybody got that. If I were to send an email to, say, Mike, that's me and Mike's.
Right.
That's not open communications. That is our own personal discussion. Similar things could be applied theoretically to committees if every director was copied individually, that sort of thing. So just be aware of that we may have to look at another way to open that up, since kind of what we've talked about is that committees fall under the rules of the main body.
Yeah.
So we'll have to find another way to do that.
I have
but we have
ideas for it,
2 months to come up with that.
Well, and we made it just for the board right now. I think we could start to phase this in. But again, it's for those of you who aren't familiar with the LNC list, it's just like our board when there's an email address that's sent to that says LNC Business Discuss, and it distributes to all 17 members of the LNC and goes on a reflector list. It's directly analogous to when we type in LPCO board and it distributes out to a distribution list. That's the only thing that would be reflected, none of our interpersonal communications.
Okay, any further discussion? Any objections? Okay, passes unanimously.
Could we just get a complete reading of the motion as it?
Karen, I move that our board group emails become open to the membership as a part of a move toward more transparency. I also added and the entire planner.
As of October.
And this would be fully implemented by October 30th.
Okay, that's it? All right. Development groups. This is something that's been kind of stirring the pot a little bit in the last few days. Karen, you put it on the agenda here. You want to start
We
this?
did. That's without objection.
I don't.
Richard?
I think we're good. If we don't have anything to vote on, then, and there's no discussion from my opposing party, then I think we're good. I think the status quo that we have with development groups is
Okay, he's
perfectly
gonna
fine.
make me talk on it now.
Okay.
Okay,
Your turn.
here's
There's only an hour left.
I think everyone was following the discussion, but hopefully. But here's,
Larimer County?
what?
Larimer County?
Yes.
Okay.
Here's the issue is the development groups are not parties. They're not filed with Tracer. They're not recognized by the state as a party. When I came on board, it was made really clear to me, and Wayne Clare confirmed this with Amy and Jeff Orrick, that development groups are supposed to be designated as development groups. They cannot just say Libertarian Party of blank county. It has to be Libertarian Party of blank county development group. Douglas County followed that, and we dropped it after we became an official affiliate. The state statutes, and I hate everyone here who's making me appeal to the state statutes, does define what a political party is, and it's not a development group. As far as I know, Colorado is the only Libertarian Party affiliate that is using this development group model. It's highly experimental. Everyone who reads our bylaws go, what? So right now, perhaps the state doesn't care what we're calling things, but as we start to get bigger, we see the way the Republicans are, sorry for anyone who's a former Republican here, but the way they're screwing with a lot of the other affiliates. We do not want to have some kind of trouble where we have a group that's not really a political party, or someone says, I gave a donation to this group thinking they were following this or that. There's no reason for that when we could just clearly state development group like all of the other development groups. The reason this happened with Larimer is that they were an affiliate. So their name was fine until we disaffiliated them. And then they went back to development group status.
Daniel, did you reach out to Larimer County to see if they had any problem with changing their name back?
I have not actually had a chance to reach out to them yet. That is something that is on my to-do list for tomorrow. And in that one instance, it may solve the issue, but this isn't the first time we've had problems with development group status and affiliate party status and their relationship with the state party. And I'm noticing every time it comes up, we have very hazily defined lines of what is a development group, what is an affiliate party when it comes down to these things.
So that needs to be defined within the policy manual, maybe even in the bylaws, but certainly.
It is in the bylaws.
What? It is in the bylaws.
Yeah.
I don't think there's been a fuzziness between what's a development group and affiliate. I think what it's been is that the state party in the past has been lax in exercising its oversight over the development groups, and some of them don't like it now that we're getting back into exercising our oversight. Frankly, and that's the state party's fault. I don't blame them for being resentful. All of a sudden, when you're laying down rules that they didn't know before, I'd be resentful too. So it's not saying they're being belligerent or anything. But this was one of the reasons we wanted to do the policy manual, is to start to put some of these codified.
Well, the Secretary of State is very, I called them and they were very, we'll say, I won't say non-committal, but what they did say is that you have to file with the Secretary of State if you are a political party. Now, if the term Libertarian Party of, that would indicate that you are trying to be a political party, which means you have to file with the Secretary of State, which means you have to become an affiliate. But they're not going to put any requirements on us as to what we call the groups.
Right.
But they're very, very strong on the fact that once you are a political party, that you have to file with Secretary of State. So I think there's a little bit back and forth going there. And the easy solution to that is to adhere to the rules that we've had in the past, where if you're an affiliate, you're an affiliate. If you're not, you're a developer. Kim?
Perhaps we should define the naming convention as to not be, for example, the Libertarian Party of Broomfield Development Group, but rather the Libertarian Party of Colorado Broomfield Development Group.
Oh, God.
We've got 60 pages already set up.
Yeah.
Groups that is completely a new thing, and I would not want to tell Jefferson
But
County
if they're
that.
called Douglas County Development Group, people don't know they're libertarians.
No, we were Libertarian Party of Douglas County Development Group.
Okay, that's okay, even though it has the word party.
Yes.
As long
all
as
I'm
it says
saying is
developer,
put Colorado.
the Secretary of State's file.
And was that Stephen Ward you were talking to as Secretary of State?
Yes.
Okay.
All I'm saying is
pretty
put the word
casual on his
Colorado in
interpretation,
between
so.
party.
All right.
Richard?
Okay. So I wrote down a couple of notes, so forgive me if I'm a little scattered as I go through them. So we're saying that these local groups are not parties, but they're extensions of our party. And that's something to keep in mind here. Regardless of what they call themselves, they're an extension of us. So they fall under us. There doesn't need to be an indicator, I believe, online that says whether they're a development group or not. What it comes down to is if they do something wrong on Facebook, who is the governing body? And that would be us. And if furthermore, if we look at a Facebook group, whatever their name is, that doesn't necessarily make them a party. I could go online and call myself the Cheese Party of Colorado, but that doesn't mean I have to register a political party. That's a very vague interpretation and would cause us to change a lot of rules that, while we talk about the rules of the past, we're talking about rules that have not been enforced or practiced or talked about for over 2 years since I joined the board. So this is not a rule. This has not been a rule. This is a new rule for all intents and purposes, as far as Jefferson County would be concerned, as far as Larimer County would be concerned, because they were never instructed on this. If we look at Jefferson County in particular, they are right now listed as Jefferson County Libertarians. And that is the argument, is that they wouldn't need to have the party indicator or they wouldn't need to have the development group indicator because they don't say party. The problem is that if I'm an outsider and I'm looking to recruit and I come into an area and I see, oh, there is a ragtag group of such and such county libertarians versus an official or blossoming official political party in the county, I'm personally, as an analytical person, going to be more drawn to the actual party. The party can be a key draw. Now, that said, Jefferson County may find in our free market of Facebook that they recruit better by calling themselves Jefferson County Libertarians. And I believe it is within their right to go ahead and call themselves whatever they want, just as I believe it is within Larimer County's right, as long as they're not violating a statute, to call themselves Libertarian Party of Larimer County. I just don't see any need to change the name if there's nothing in the statute, nothing from the SOS that says we have to. And it's a social media tool where literally anybody could call themselves anything. I don't see the need for us to interfere at such a local level with our groups. We provide them data, we expect them to make their own decisions, and if they make a poor decision regarding parties, then that ultimately would fall on them and a little bit on us as well in order to pick up the slack. But I don't see that as a problem right now, since it's not a statute issue. The Secretary of State, who oversees us, has said it's not a statute issue. So I don't want to go implementing new old rules, depending on how you look at this, that haven't been practiced for 2 years and force other organizations to change their names when they're used to a name and everything else. Ultimately, this is a discussion about names right now, but really this is a lot more than that. And this is a discussion that we were supposed to have back, I believe, in June, that we never had, the true autonomy of these development groups. And that's what we really need to be discussing. Are these groups considered autonomous to any sort of degree? Do they have any autonomy? Or are they purely just whatever we say they are as 11 people on this board? Do we get to dictate what happens in every single local everything? Because I'll tell you, I've never been to Yuma County, and I don't feel comfortable telling Yuma County what they can or can't call themselves, depending on what their situation is. Idaho Springs may have a situation where they prefer to call themselves something else. We shouldn't force people to have a name that we want. We shouldn't force them to have meetings that we think work best. These groups need the autonomy, at least to a degree, to decide their own path and see how it works for them. That's what leads to the free market expanding, sharing of ideas, et cetera, et cetera. So I am not for implementing new old policies and will very much oppose them both on policy manual committee and if we come to a vote here in this room.
Okay, I'd like to address each of these. It doesn't, the whole, I would say it is not incorrect that this doesn't follow the field of the statute. The statute says what a political party is defined as. Sure, anyone could go and say they're the cheese political party, and they are then holding themselves out falsely to the public. The public should be able to rely upon what the statutory definition of a political party is, and they're not a political party. Another thing we've dropped the ball with, though, with development groups is our development groups haven't even been chartered. We're supposed to charter development groups just like we charter affiliates. It isn't just supposed to be that, John Brown in Yuma says, oh, I want to be the development group. There's supposed to be a little bit of vetting and training going on here. And we're supposed to have a document that is chartering development groups. That's another issue to be addressed in, but that is related here. This is either sad or not sad, but 2 years isn't a long time for this particular body not to enforce rules. That's actually very recent history. We're not saying what they have to call themselves. We're saying what they can't call themselves. There's a difference. It's like, in the Garden of Eden, God said you could eat all the fruit, just not the apple on this tree. It doesn't mean he told them you could only eat the pears and the bananas. They could eat whatever they want. They just couldn't eat the apple on the tree. You could call yourselves nearly whatever you want. You can't call yourselves a political party which is a creature of the state when you have not complied with the conditions of the state. And the fact is, I think we would have absolutely no problem telling a development group, if they decided they were going to name themselves the Libertarian Republicans of Yuma County, that isn't acceptable to us. So I don't think saying that we're not going to tell affiliates what they're going to call themselves, or the neo-Nazi Libertarians of Yuma, we would have no problem with that because it goes against our principles. This other goes against the statute. I don't see inviting trouble for something that is so easy. Jefferson County calls themselves Jefferson County Libertarians. That's fine. They're not eating the apple. They're doing everything else, but they haven't touched the fruit on the forbidden fruit on the tree. Completely their choice. As far as autonomy, meetings and things like that obviously they have complete autonomy over that. But what they're being named, it's something that directly comes from us, and we are granted our alleged authority from the alleged authority of the state. And with these sorts of things, I just don't think we should be even slightly running afoul. When a lot of our other ideas are running afoul enough, I just don't see this as something to make a stand on. And I usually want to take a stand on everything that has to do with the state.
Hey, Kim, you're next.
I think go ahead and try asking the Republican Party or the Democrat Party if they would have an issue with somebody who is not a political party utilizing their name as the Democratic Party of wherever, or the Republican Party of. They would have a lot to say about it, and I think we should too. Their development groups do not meet the requirements of political parties. Therefore, they should not be conventioned as Libertarian Party of, because they have not affiliated and they are not a separate party. If they're a development group, then they are under our umbrella, and I think that we should have some convention in terms of naming them.
Richard.
Okay. So I just want to make sure that everybody's aware that in the Larimer County group, they actually, if you go to their about section, it says we are a development group of the state of Colorado Libertarian Party. I feel if that clarification is in there somewhere, it's not misleading. And the reason why is because I agree, the Republican Party, Democrat Party may not want their people to claim Republican or Democrat Party if they're not. But are they not a local party? Are they not the Libertarian Party of that local area? Are they not actively recruiting and trying to get that SOS thing? How do development groups form in other states if they can't call themselves a party? Hey, we're just a bunch of libertarians that get together, hang out with us, and maybe in 5 or 6 years we'll become a regular party. That's not how it works. If people are looking for information on the parties, they're going to look for that county's party. That's what I did when I moved here. That's what many of us did to get involved in that sort of thing. As far as the rule being 2 years old and saying that's not such a long time, looking around this board right now, there are 1, 2, 3 people who were on this board 2 years ago. Everybody else is new. So that being the case, it is a new rule. It is a rule that has not existed for this board or even the previous board to a degree. Mike, myself, and Karen Ann are the only ones who were on the board when I took over as Regents Director, and it has not been discussed since that time, not once. Let's see. Wrote down a couple of other things that don't make sense. As far as where the names came from and that sort of thing, I just want to let everybody know that when I was Regents Director back in January, February of 2016, I went through and created personally every single county's Facebook page. I came up with the name under zero guidance. So to claim that this is how the names have always been and that sort of thing is absolutely ridiculous. I created the name myself 2 years ago. So this is not a rule put out by the state. This is not a policy of our board.
Daniel?
Specifically, I wanted to focus on the what you were talking about with the development groups. As I understand it, this is something new. Other affiliates, it's already been said before, don't do this. So we don't have any kind of template to follow. The steps used to be you were nothing and then you were an affiliate party, which was its own independent thing from the state party. It was chartered by, but that was the official connection. So with this new step, which is supposed to be a step where we're providing guidance and stuff like that, we can provide guidance, yes, without saying, well, you're going to have to do it like this, this, and this. But there is something to be said for having a format for a new group to follow, especially when you're getting groups with turnovers that have new leadership 6 times in 12 months. Having a preset, once a month meeting, having, some set rules and guidelines, and having set branding means that you're not going to have the Libertarian Party of Douglas County partiers for 2 months, and then the Libertarian Party of Douglas County activists for 2 months, and it's going to change every 2 months. Having that set branding will help build that county and keep that consistency there. If we honestly, if we let them change it whenever they feel like it, it does run the risk of every time new leadership comes in, which is frequent, getting a whole new name for that county party.
I'd like to make a motion. I move that we not allow the word party to be used by development groups in their title.
Well, that's even worse.
That is
It's already in, we already have the Arapahoe County, Douglas County.
For development groups.
Yep, but when Douglas was a development group, it was Libertarian Party of Douglas County Development Group.
Okay.
So that was already in there.
Question. I think we've been through this a couple times since convention. The Libertarian Party specifically is trademarked by the Libertarian Party.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
They trademarked it in 1990.
And they're about
to
to test that against people like the Libertarian Party
The
Radical
LPCO
Caucus.
existed before the National Party.
Point of information though.
Of course.
So to that point, the fact that they are considered a development group under us and we are licensed as a state party to use that name automatically extends that right to them to use because they're under us.
Well,
No, it actually
they
doesn't.
they don't
The
just get to
LLC bylaws, it
voluntarily
does
be a development group. They have to be sanctioned.
The LNC bylaws under which we exist to use the name allegedly Libertarian Party says that we are allowed to charter affiliates to use the name and the branding. We are not authorized to charter any other kinds of groups to have the permission to do that. We just don't have that authority under our affiliation with the National Party.
So point of information, we can charter affiliate groups, but we can't charter development
Not
groups.
to exclusively use the branding, or this is going to end up being an issue at the next LNC meeting. So there's a lot in flux here, but we are authorized to charter affiliates that are extensions and have the same rights in this large
So point of
organization.
information then, is this whole debate moot? It sounds like according to the LNC, we're not allowed to have development groups, period.
No, we can have development groups, but we can't, they aren't the Libertarian Party.
It doesn't say you
That
can't
county.
use that for development groups. It says you can use it for affiliates.
Right.
It doesn't specifically exclude using it for development groups.
Well,
We could just argue that they're just kind of part of us. We
They are
collect the
part
money
of
and
us.
everything, yeah.
Blake,
It's
did you have
still us.
something to add to this conversation?
I'm not sure if it helps or not. I was just looking at the law. There's been a lot of things that have been talked about what's legal, what's not legal. Basically, to condense this down, any minor political party failing to perform certain functions to satisfy the state shall not be qualified as a minor political party. And if that's the case, my concern would be if an organization is using a party name, which implies they've satisfied Secretary of State or state rules, that could be considered fraud. And as a libertarian, I'm totally against fraud. So just want to add.
that's what I said about holding out to the public.
So again, I go back to, all we have to do is insert between of and the county development name group, Colorado. the Libertarian Party of Colorado, Broomfield
County.
Development Group.
You wouldn't even need
Or-
development group, from my understanding. It would be Libertarian Party of Colorado hyphen Yuma County. Libertarian Party of Colorado hyphen Douglas County, or not Douglas County.
No, I don't think so, because then it sounds like they are an affiliate, a standalone thing. I think the safest thing that we can do is just add Colorado in there, so it's Libertarian Party of Colorado County Development Group.
But some of the counties aren't wanting to use development group, but they're not wanting to change their name.
We don't
back.
know that.
Like,
Nobody has said
Jefferson
that.
County Libertarians.
Well, that's fine. Yeah, see, I don't think we can tell
Jefferson
them.
County Libertarians is not holding themselves out to be the Libertarian Party
But
of
they are.
Jefferson County.
Yes, they are. They are holding in the debate that I had with them in May, that was publicized all over Facebook, that drew all sorts of people to the party, believe it or not. We actually discussed whether they were a development group or not based on the name they wanted to use, and they said, yes, we are a development group.
Yeah,
So
they
if
are.
they are a development group, they need to be labeled as a development
No,
group.
they don't. Again, it's not saying what they have to use. We're saying what they can't use. There's a different set here. But point of information from the national bylaws, no person, group, or organization may use the name Libertarian Party or any confusingly similar designation except the party or an organization to which the party grants affiliate party status. These are what we agreed to be in being granted our affiliate status from the national party. Even though I dispute that they can do this we voluntarily, signed on to that.
Well, it says in there that we can use it, which means any groups that fall under our purview can use it as well, because they are under our sphere of control.
But they cannot use it independently of.
Right, no, and I don't think they should be using it independently of. I really don't. And this is where the definition of development groups in particular is really hazy within the party. There's no policies right now set that define the parameters of development group. We don't have any kind of chartering process. Right now, it's just pretty much whoever in whatever county wants to step up and say, hi, I'm the leader, is being instituted as the leader. And I've never even seen a charter for development groups. I don't know if there was one in the past. But I think we need better definition about what development groups are.
Here's a point of information.
Bylaws, there shall be no more than one state level affiliate party in any one state. Each state level affiliate party shall, in accordance with its own bylaws and these bylaws, determine who its delegates to regular convention shall be. A state level affiliate party may charter sub-affiliate parties within the state, which will entitle such sub-affiliates to use the name Libertarian Party. It says that our authority to pass on this name sub-affiliates. It's the county affiliates, not county development groups.
It's a point of information. So that is a sub-affiliate.
So I agree with you, John, that a development group is still a sub-affiliate. But that said, according to the text of that, we can't even call them Libertarian Party of Yuma County Development Group, because that is us sending out the name. So either we're going to fly in the face of LNC rules, or we're going to resolve something else tonight. But no matter what, if we continue on with such and such party of such and such county development group, that is still in violation, because we're allowing them to use the name Libertarian Party.
That's what I'm saying.
So if we do, I mean, now we're just opening up a whole bigger can of worms. Here's what I would propose. I would like to make a motion. And that motion would be that we ask our LNC rep to take this to the LNC and get their input on this.
Dangerous.
That's dangerous.
I still want to do it. That's the motion. We can vote on it, we cannot, but I don't think that there is any reason for us to change anything that we've been doing without a statute, with the SOS telling us anything. If our governing body, which seems to have the only rule that tells us we can't, says that we can, then I see no reason to go forward, and they're the only people we haven't asked.
Well, I would, yes, I would object in several ways. Colorado isn't a region unto itself, and the other 8 states of Region 1 might not really appreciate Colorado inviting national interference in an affiliate. And I would not bring such a request without running it by all 9 state chairs, because Colorado is not an island on itself. I represent 9 states.
No, and if I was in Oregon, I would say the same thing. Let's ask our LNC.
Oh, no, you wouldn't if you were in Oregon. I guarantee you that.
Touche. But you see what I'm saying? I mean, it doesn't matter that you're from Colorado in the LNC rep. That is completely separate.
No, what I'm saying, if Washington asked me, I would say I'd have to run it by the other 8 states, because that is the platform I ran on as
All right.
LNC is keeping the LNC out of the business of
Okay,
the states.
that's fine, but who can we go to for clarification on this? If we can't go to our rep who's telling us we can't go to the LNC, who do we get clarification from on the LNC
Do we
level?
go
I don't
directly
think
to
we should.
national?
It is perfectly clear.
Okay, we do have a motion on the floor and lots of discussion.
Would you read back the motion?
Our LNC representatives should take this issue to the regional meeting.
All right, any discussion, more discussion? Daniel?
I would personally stand against taking this to the LNC. We're all intelligent enough. We should be able to figure this out. And it seems like the biggest sticking point is, as I keep saying, the definition of the development group. Development groups are not autonomous. They do not have the authority, the right, the privilege, or what have you, to act amongst themselves. They can't endorse candidates. They can't make official statements. They can't pass resolutions. They can't do anything without the state party.
Yeah, that's not true.
They can do some small things without the state party, but they can't fundraise. There's several things that, well, they
Can't keep the money.
they can't keep the money.
Right.
It has to be put through here and earmarked, and that, as I understand, is the
They can-
system we set up.
They can make graphics, they can set meeting times, they can set agendas, they can have candidates come and speak at their meetings, they can collect money that we hold on to them for them.
But that's
for them.
something we set up internally.
Sure.
That's not.
But that's one of the things that we put out there. They can, so basically we're saying they can do everything except endorse candidates and fundraise on their own. That is literally all the SOS says. Everything
And
else.
what the affiliate parties do within the counties, they endorse candidates and they fundraise on their own. That's what they do.
No, they
That's-
don't. Larimer County right now is raising issues of a ballot thing that's going around where they want to raise the PIF tax in Larimer County, specifically in Loveland. That has nothing to do with
And can
candidates or
Larimer
fundraising.
County put
Hey,
out
guys. We're going back and forth right here. Why don't we take a vote on Richard's motion? And then I have another proposal I'm going to bring. to the
Point of
table as well.
information,
Go ahead, Karen.
our bylaws talk about how there can be more than one development group in a county. There can be multiple development groups in a county.
That's cool.
Just saying, there's layers like an onion here.
All right.
Well, that-
Vote so much.
Okay, Clayton?
I just have a question. Was there a second?
We
There
don't.
doesn't
we
need to
don't
be in a
need
small
second.
It's a small committee.
Okay. Well, I think we've had all the discussion that we can handle with this one. It's obviously we're not going to get a unanimous vote on this, so let's go ahead and start the vote. Richard?
Can you repeat the motion, make sure that it's correct and that I understand what I'm voting for?
Since you made the motion.
Yep.
Move that our LNC representative should take this issue to the regional meeting.
Second.
Yes.
Treasurer?
No.
Manrison?
No.
Campaigns?
No.
Outreach?
Nope.
Operations?
Nope.
Communications?
Abstain, conflict of interest.
Records?
Yes.
Okay, we have 5 noes and 2 yeses, so that motion has failed. Now, this is what I propose. We don't know that we're going to have an issue with Larimer County anyway. They may say that was just an oversight. We didn't change it in our name. We changed it in our page, but we didn't change it in our name. It was an oversight on our part. We have no problem with complying with that if that's what you would like. If they give us pushback, then I think we're probably going to have to take this and get it resolved and have it written in our policy manual. At this point, I don't want to lean on them too hard, only because we don't have it in writing anymore. I understand that there's reasons for everybody's thinking. Frankly, I'm with Karen on this. I agree that the importance of the difference of way the development groups are referenced in the way they present themselves to the public, differing from that of an affiliate, I think is important. But I don't know that I want to beat this horse yet until we actually have a decision made and have it in writing. Go ahead, Karen.
I would have it, I move to table this until after the next LNC meeting where related subjects are on the agenda are ready to come up that might end up giving us an inadvertent guidance to this. So I'd move to postpone this to a time certain, being our September board meeting.
There's nothing to table right now.
Well, he had a motion.
The discussion, we could just move it to old business.
Yeah, he did. I thought you had a
No,
motion.
no, it was just an idea.
Well, we'd still be tabling the topic.
So Daniel, would you please
No,
make sure
yeah.
you reach out to Lambert County and get this?
No.
Point of
see if we have
information,
some
point of
things to
order.
discuss.
Point of order.
Go ahead.
If we are postponing this discussion as to old business pending other issues, that is very relevant to this discussion. And I do not think it is the authority of the chair or this body to ask anybody to change their names until we have decided what we're doing as a group.
That's what I said.
Yeah, and now I don't want him to even ask Larimer before our September meeting. I don't want it brought up at all with the development groups until we have decided as a body how we want to handle this, whether it's by policy manual or as a resolution that we decide here voting.
Well, I think until we bring it to the floor, it still falls within my wheelhouse of regions to guide those regions in the best way possible.
To postpone indefinitely privileged and non-debatable?
We didn't postpone it definitely, though. You set a time limit.
Oh, or to a time certain. Isn't it non-debatable?
You're correct. It
It's
is.
privileged and non-debatable. We go right to the debate on my motion. I mean, right to a vote on my motion. Which was to postpone.
This is a point of order, though, related to the instruction that he was giving Daniel. This is not,
Okay.
a conflict with your motion.
Okay, would you make your motion again, Karen?
I move to postpone this item until our September board meeting, which occurs after the LNC meeting, which may give us inadvertent guidance.
Okay. Any discussion on that?
Is that going to interfere with Daniel's being able to solve this thing with Larimer?
I don't see why it necessarily would. We're
Nothing's
just bringing
been
Larimer in
said, right.
line
This is
with,
just a casual
like yesterday.
conversation, say, hey, did you miss this or whatever.
if they change it, they're in line with
Don't
everyone else.
put
If they
pressure
don't-
on them that we're gonna require them to do it, just ask them if there was an oversight on their part and see if that's something they have to push back on.
Okay.
I don't see any reason to put the pressure of the state through you on them at this point because we don't have anything in writing.
Right.
So,
But it doesn't hurt to ask him what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
so the motion right now is we're gonna postpone this until our next meeting. Do we have any objections to that? Okay, that passes unanimously. All right, next one. Karen Ann, road cleanup.
Actually, I have a point though. I don't know. Inquiry, I guess. It didn't pass unanimously. It passed without objection. There's actually a difference for the record.
That's true.
That is true, you're correct.
And what is the name of this current agenda item?
What's that?
What's the name of the current agenda?
The current agenda item is a road cleanup.
Road.
Road cleanup.
Not road. Okay.
Oh, I,
That could be interesting. Though, too.
Yeah. Some might be for that. I don't know.
this came up during outreach. I actually would like us to make it a commitment to actually do this, to have our outreach director. Beatrice has all the information that from what Douglas County did with the state. And I think we should adopt a couple miles of road and have this as a quarterly event to get out there and do it.
Point of information. Is there any cost associated with adopting a road?
Just get out there and clean it up.
Just get
The
out
only
there.
cost that we had was, we were required to wear the bright green vests, so we couldn't advertise with T-shirts that we're the Libertarian Party. So we had to buy a couple great big signs, and you guys will see pictures of the signs. We haven't posted them yet. The signs say, Libertarian Party of Douglas County, cleaning up the mess that others create. And we had two great big signs that we had somebody on each end of the cleanup crew as we walked up and down the road.
John?
Can we get bright green vests with reflective chicken on a stick on the back?
Not saying yes, but I'm
We
not saying
digress. John?
Do they have to be reflective, or couldn't they just be safety green?
They
have to be
provide
their-
them.
Their supplied.
They supply them. We didn't have to pay for the vest. The cost he was talking about was the signs that we
So
made.
there's no,
The reason I was asking is,
there's
you
no
know, we've got
cost.
some safety green t-shirts.
Yeah, we
El
inquired
Paso
about that
Valley,
because
but-
we were gonna have those shirts made.
They wouldn't let us.
Absolutely
We
no
have-
cost for the
They
road
said you
sign.
can wear any
Front of
t-shirt
the
you want,
vest.
but you have to wear a vest over
We
top.
just have to commit to do it quarterly.
Quarterly.
Okay, so that must be a local policy, because when we did it in Arapahoe, our expenses were t-shirts and trash bags and stuff like that, and they
This
they
was
didn't ask
CDOT.
us.
We did the.
Oh,
state
state road.
Yeah.
It's
So,
Parker Road.
so we did a local road.
And Arapahoe has implemented that policy now too,
Oh, with the vest?
with the vests.
Oh, crap.
So is Douglas County granting us license to the slogan?
We don't believe in IPA.
Yeah, well, actually, I do.
Yeah.
You're welcome to use it, but you gotta change the name.
Like that on the record, please.
But anyhow, I do agree with Karen. I think this would be something that would be, number one, a lot of fun for everybody, but it would get a tremendous amount of exposure. I have 2 different news outlets that I'm gonna send, as soon as we have the pictures posted, I'm gonna send the information to them, and hopefully they will get them published, and we'll see if that happens. I can assure you that if we did it on the state level, we'd get a lot more traction with
Plus,
that than
it's
Douglas
just
County by
funny.
itself can get.
This is money. What about the roads?
Yeah.
Who's gonna clean up the road?
The question was answered.
I've been purposefully hitting them with rocks.
Did you guys
Great chance.
pick your section of road from a list that was provided for you?
Yes.
or-
Yeah, we had, out of 17 miles of Parker Road that, it is very peculiar. The state, a lot of the highways and roads in the state of Colorado are you can get your sign posted, sponsored by, but you can't do the cleanup. All you have to do is write the check to the private company that the state employs to do the cleanup.
Yeah, there's a
But there
union in
are
there
certain
somewhere.
roads that they don't do as volunteers, and then they'll put up a sign for us that says, road cleanup by Douglas County Libertarians or State of Colorado Libertarians or whatever.
I think the state penitentiary has a franchise on certain.
Oh,
sections.
So,
how much does it cost to write the check and get it sponsored? That may be easier and get a
Oh,
bunch
it's
of volunteers.
$900 a mile per year.
Okay, never mind. Wait, maybe we need to do.
So was there a motion, just point of order?
No.
No,
No motion.
I didn't yet. I kind of want to.
I mean,
Sounds like there's
Because I don't
gonna be
want
a
my
motion.
feelings hurt. I don't want my feelings hurt.
Unless outreach jumps up and just takes the ball and doesn't need directed by motion.
Well, hang on, I think Bruce has something he wants to bring to the table here.
Well, speaking for Kim, should be speaking for me, I guess. This is going on next week, next Sunday in Welcome County.
Oh,
You're doing a road cleanup in Wells County?
You're doing a trail cleanup that's next to a road. Now, anybody who wants to talk to Matt and talk to him about if there are any laws involved, that'd be great. But
Well,
yeah, the plan is.
have Matt reach out if he has any questions.
Are you suggesting an underground cleanup?
Yes.
A road cleanup?
Yeah, so it's on meetup, I think.
Okay, well,
Sunday
if
afternoon.
Matt has any questions, have him reach out. Karen, did you want to move with this? You're waiting for Kevin to step up.
Oh, well, do we need a motion?
No, I was gonna suggest that possibly the outreach director could investigate this more fully
I'll
over
get
the next
Beatrice
30
to-
days and,
I'll get Beatrice to give you all the information so you don't have to reinvent anything.
She did a lot of research on this to find the ones that we could actually do the work and not have to write a check for. So I think she could probably direct you at least to the right person to talk to, rather than you spend 4 or 5 days going in endless email loops.
With the state.
Yeah. It took Beatrice 3 months to get this thing in. I started the ball rolling, then I dumped it in her lap, and she ran with it. But she was in contact with me on a twice-a-week basis, saying, I can't get a return phone call, I'm getting conflicting information, and then finally she got a hold of somebody that was able to help. And maybe that person could help us on a state level as well.
I'll be back with the recommendation prior to our November meeting then. 3 months.
So we'll have to wear coats underneath the reflective.
Yeah. Okay, Frank, you had something you wanted to bring to the table?
Yes, as a follow-up from last month's meeting, Dave is my details person for it, but it's the Colorado Revised Statute, and the question is, can the Libertarian Party run a primary requiring the state to send out a third ballot if there's a Republicans and Democrats? And so with that intro, I'm going to pass it to Dave, being the slimy person I am, and say thank you.
Tell us how you really feel about yourself, Frank.
If you want to run a primary, you have to have two candidates for that office, and both of them have to get more than 30% at the state convention.
Just by coincidence.
So,
Which almost happened last year, if you guys remember that.
Yeah.
so if
U.S. Senate.
if you want to make one happen, those are the parameters that you have to deal with.
And they'll send out a third mailing?
A third ballot.
So
Yes.
the question though specifically, you listened in on some of this, how this is going to operate, and they still don't know for sure. But is it a separate mailing, or is it an additional ballot in a single mailing?
The ballots will be in the same envelope.
Good.
If a voter sends back two ballots in the same envelope, it will invalidate
both of them.
Yeah. Well, okay, the question is whether or not you're going to do the open primary or the closed primary, and that's a decision that this board will have to make some number of days before the primary. We have that.
Do we have that option now that 70, what was it, 69 passed or whatever?
I think it was 171, right?
That might be right.
107, 108.
Yeah,
Since
it's
that
not
passed, we have
71.
that option.
That's the petition thing.
Yeah.
So this board will have to make a decision sometime in, January, February at least, probably, to decide whether or not to have an open primary or a closed one. The open primary means that all the unaffiliated voters can vote for our candidates. Now, I'm assuming that if we have a closed primary, our primary ballot will only go to registered Libertarians.
Oh.
If we have an open primary, then our primary ballot, assuming we have one, will go to all the unaffiliated voters as well.
Which would be much better advertising.
Does it also
But-
go to the Republicans and
Hang on a minute.
Democrats? Does it go
What?
to everybody?
Point of information,
Karen Ann?
our bylaws or constitution addresses this. We passed last convention that at any point where we would have to participate in a
closed.
primary, that we would opt out of open primaries because we have that right under the new thing, and that's in our governing documents.
Oh, well, that's no fun about.
So, and just as a further on that, so that this is a discussion that we're certainly going to have closer when we get there, as far as even once we determine how many candidates we have and that sort of thing. I know that last year when I discussed that, and part of the reason why we encouraged, who was it? Galen to step out of the Senate race voluntarily was because we thought that it would be better not to split the Libertarians. As that was part of the motivation, is to not split the Libertarians and just let them go full on force whatever they wanted to do, not have to focus to the internal, but immediately start focusing to the external. So this is a discussion for down the road. As we get the candidates, like I said, we don't even know for sure that we're going to have candidates running against each other at this point.
Point of information, I just like everyone to know what the actual bylaw is, so I looked it up. At any time that any of the party's candidates participate in a primary election, the party shall opt out of allowing unaffiliated or other persons who are not party members for participation, and shall provide appropriate notice to the state of Colorado as provided by law.
Which I think is 30 days, but I'd have to look up the code.
Okay. Any further discussion on that?
So did we decide to do something here?
Just kind of an FYI, just there you go.
We can't have fun with this, is what they're saying.
That's what I was like.
Really, you are fun.
Yes,
Now
yes, we
that-
did.
Now that we're to the end here, guys, I do have something that is fun that I want to bring to the table. Daniel, do you have something?
If I could just throw in a quick update before you go into that one. The data share David's been working really hard towards getting everyone access to the list and stuff like that. He actually set up a really awesome system and a really cool guidebook to let the counties go in and pull this information when they wanted. Just wanted to let you guys know Adams, Clear Creek, Delta, Denver, Douglas, Dolores, El Paso, Garfield, Mesa, and Weld have all already signed on to it. I'm expecting a few other counties to jump on as well. We had one person request what we call a walking list to go out and find libertarians within their very specific geographical area. And then Arapahoe County is wanting to set up a website similar to Douglas's. There's discussion going on in email right now about the possibility of that. But there could be, if we have pre-canned email or pre-canned websites, we may actually get more people that want to jump on with the Nation Builder website. So if the Douglas's template could wind up being something a lot more valuable in the future.
Richard?
So I couldn't help but notice when you said that people had signed on, that Mike's reaction was, oh, cool. If you could make sure that those documents that they've signed on to either end up in his folder or with him somehow, that would be fantastic. And you can do that from home too.
I'm going to get digital copies. Right now we're getting single signature digital copies.
Right.
And then I'm working at getting the hard copies and double signing those. And as I get the hard copies, I'm going to get those turned over to you. And then the digitals will be available to pretty much everyone. They'll be on the shared drive.
Okay, well, the last thing, guys, we have is not on the agenda, but I want to remind everybody that we have the camping trip coming up on Labor Day weekend, White River National Forest. Everybody here, of course, is invited, and you're welcome to bring your friends as long as they are not neo-Nazis. If they are, they got to keep their mouth shut.
You're asking a lot today.
It's not Diversity River.
And I'll give you just a little bit of the details about what we're doing. Jay's going up. He's going to stop at my home for a day before he heads up to the mountain. And I've got a map already. And he's going to go up and pick out a spot for us and get a reserve. Daniel and I have plans, maybe next week, if we can get our schedule put together, to go up there. And I know the area like the back of my hand, but we're looking for a camp spot for 30 or 40 people. So I need to go up and find some places that look like they're big enough for that bigger group and put the little red dot on it, because Jay's not familiar with the area that he's going to go reserve for us. So Daniel and I have some plans scheduled for next week. Hopefully we can make that happen. But I'd love to have everybody come up. There's going to be, depending upon where we're camped, we're going to be anywhere from a half a mile to 2 miles away from some fantastic trout fishing. There's a great river going through that area called Line Creek, which runs right into Crooked Creek Reservoir, which is a small mountain lake, but it's full of brook trout and rainbow trout. And then blue grouse season also opens up that weekend, so anybody that has an inclination to go bird hunting. Blue grouse, if you haven't had it, is the best eating game bird. And I'm sure nobody that's ever had one would ever argue with me on that. But there's a bunch of them up there to find. There's mountain bike trails, hiking trails, jeep trails, a lot of different activities. We're going to have some target shooting, hopefully at least a mile away from camp. And I might bring
facing the opposite
direction. I may bring the clay target thrower if anybody wants to get their shotgun out and do some clay target shooting. But it's going to be a lot of fun. There might be a little bit of drinking going on. I'm not quite sure, but it's possible.
There will be smoking, I can guarantee.
But if you want to come up for 3 days, that's great. If you want to come up for 2 or even just 1 day to enjoy a day with everybody, it'll be a lot of fun. And I know there's a lot of people here that have already responded that they didn't want to come up. So once we have the actual location, I'll give specific details about how to get there, as well as GPS coordinates. So that will help anybody that has a GPS unit that knows how to use it.
So is this car camping, or is this dispersed tenting, or what
It's dispersed camping in the National Forest.
Okay.
But we'll have a big,
Yeah, there's no camper.
it won't be a mile apart. It'll be like in a big clearing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are we hiking our gear in, or are we driving in?
Drive.
There's trails.
Drive to
Yeah,
it.
drive
Right
to
off the road.
So car camping.
Yeah. And the road, it depends on where we can get a spot. Where I'd like us to get a spot is at the very top of Crooked Creek Pass. And you can drive a car there as long as it's not raining. It's smooth, well maintained by the county. It does get kind of slippery when it gets wet though. So you have to be a little careful if it gets wet. But it's smooth, easy. It's not a 4-wheel drive road unless it's wet.
It never rains.
Yeah,
Never
especially in September. But guys, we're going to set up. I'm bringing up a great big 3-burner stove, hooked up to a big propane tank. So anybody that wants to use that to prepare their meals, that'll already be set up. We'll have a small propane grill set up right next to it. Then a lot of people are going to be up there with campers, and of course they'll have cooking facilities as well. So if you want to make life easier on yourself and not bring up a stove because you can't find it or something like that, that's fine. We'll have a place for you to cook. But be aware, if we got 40 people there might be a line.
Yeah.
So, and, but hope everybody can make it. How many in this room are going to plan on making it up?
We try to. We're going to try to.
What? You're not coming, Frank?
No, I'm a wimp. I've done too much camping in my life. But I'll be camping next Monday for the eclipse on Sunday. If you're looking for a ride up there to Wyoming, let me know.
Yeah, I don't think.
You going to Casper?
What's that?
A lot of people are going to Casper.
Yeah,
Cleveland.
Wayne,
Oh.
what time are you finishing up? What days are you?
We're heading up Friday night. We're probably going to end up getting in there in the dark.
I think you sent a Facebook invite out, didn't you?
We did, and Karen just redid the page and made it public. The other one was private. So Karen just redid the page.
You see Jay?
I will have an extra tent if somebody wants to come and they don't have equipment, I have extra.
Beautiful.
So glad to.
Beautiful. So for all intents and purposes, those of you that don't have gear, all you really need is, it sounds like Blake's bringing a tent. I was going to bring a tent for David if he wanted to come up. Bring cooking gear, food, and whatever you want to drink or partake in. And everything else, I think you can probably borrow from everybody else that's up there. So on that note, the meeting, unless anybody has any objections, I move that the meeting's adjourned.
Second.
No objections? Okay, we're adjourned.